Frame is one of the three things that actually decide your looks: your face, your height, and your frame, in that order. So of course the internet is flooded with methods that promise to make you taller and wider. Swimming, hanging from bars, magic stretches, supplements, and most of them are complete cope. They do absolutely nothing, and people waste months on them, but a few of them genuinely work. So in this video, I'm going to take every popular method for getting taller and wider and give each one a straight verdict, real or cope, with the anatomy to prove it. Some of these are going to make people angry, and the last real method on this list can change your frame in about 10 seconds for around $30. Let's get into it. One rule before we start, because it separates the real from the cope every single time. Bone is not muscle. You cannot stretch a bone. You cannot make a fully grown bone longer or wider by pulling on it, hanging from it, or wishing at it. The moment your growth plates close, in your late teens to early 20s, your skeleton's length is essentially fixed. So any method that claims to lengthen or widen a mature bone through exercise is fighting basic biology, and it loses. What you actually can change falls into three real buckets: cartilage, which is not bone and does respond; muscle, which frames the skeleton you have; and illusion, which changes how tall and wide you read without changing a single measurement. Keep those three buckets in mind, because every method that works fits into one of them, and every method that's cope, pretends bone, behaves like cartilage or muscle. Now, the methods. First up, the big one. Swimming to get wider shoulders and taller. Verdict: cope. This is probably the most repeated frame myth on the internet, and it's a textbook case of a logical error called selection bias. People look at elite swimmers, see that they're tall with broad shoulders and long arms, and conclude that swimming built that body. But they've got the causation exactly backwards. Swimming didn't give those men wide frames. Wide frames, long arms, broad clavicles, big hands and feet are a massive advantage in the water. So the sport selects for people who already have them. The tall, wide guys rise to the top, and the narrow guys quietly quit. It's the same reason NBA players are tall. Basketball doesn't make you 7 feet tall. Being 7 feet tall gets you into the NBA. If you take an average framed adult and have him swim 5 days a week, he will get leaner and fitter and build some shoulder muscle, exactly like any other upper body training. But his clavicles will not get longer. The bones do not care that you're in water. Swimming is good exercise. It is not a frame widening method. Cope. Method 2. Clavicle stretching, heavy deadlift holds, farmer's carries, dead hangs, all done specifically to stretch the clavicles wider. Verdict: cope, and the anatomy makes it obvious once you see it. Here's what people picture. They think hanging heavy weights pulls the arms down and out, which stretches the collarbones and widens the frame. But that is not how your shoulder is built. Your arm bone, the humerus, does not attach to your clavicle. It attaches to your shoulder blade, the scapula. The clavicle connects to the scapula off to the side at a small joint called the AC joint. So when you hang a heavy weight from your arm, the load travels through the humerus into the scapula and gets held by ligaments. It never puts a meaningful lengthwise stretch on the clavicle at all. And even if it somehow could, here's the killer. Ligaments are far weaker than bone. The soft tissue in your shoulder would tear long before you generated enough force to deform a collarbone. So all heavy hanging actually does is train your grip and your traps, and if you go too crazy with it, give you a shoulder injury. 0 people have ever widened their clavicles this way. Cope. Now the first real one, and it surprises people. Ribcage expansion. Verdict: real, with an asterisk. And here's the crucial distinction. You are not stretching bone. Your ribs do not attach directly to your sternum. They connect through a band of costal cartilage, and cartilage, unlike bone, is pliable and does respond to sustained mechanical stress, especially when you're younger. The old school method is the pullover, a deep stretch across a bench under load, often paired with heavy breathing work, sometimes called breathing squats. This was common knowledge in the golden era of bodybuilding. Guys like Reg Park and the old-timers used pullovers specifically to expand the ribcage and build that deep, 3-dimensional chest. And it genuinely works to a degree, because you're stretching the costal cartilage and the connective tissue, not trying to snap a rib. The honest caveat: the effect is modest. It's much stronger before your mid-20s, and the breathing squat part is overrated. You don't need to nearly pass out doing 20-rep squats. The loaded stretch is what matters. But as a real, working method, to add some genuine three-dimensional width to your torso, it earns its place. Real. Method 4. Building your lateral delts to widen your frame. Verdict, real. And it's the most reliable one on this whole list because it's pure muscle. No bone, no cartilage, no cope required. Your shoulder width as people perceive it isn't just your clavicle bone. It's the clavicle plus the ball of deltoid muscle sitting on the end of it. And that muscle is entirely under your control. 2 well-developed lateral delts can add real, visible inches to your shoulder width and dramatically sharpen your V-taper. And unlike your bones, they respond to training for your entire life. This is the frame lever almost everyone underrates because it's not exotic. It's just lateral raises. But the effect on how wide you read, especially in a t-shirt, is enormous. If you have narrow clavicles, this is your single best move. You can't change the bone, but you can build a big round cap of muscle on top of it that reads as a wider frame from across the room. Do lots of lateral raises, progress them for years, and your frame gets measurably wider. Real and underrated. Method 5. Supplements and foods to widen and lengthen your bones as an adult. The raw milk by the gallon crowd. The various pills and powders that promise bone growth. Verdict. Cope. With one important clarification so nobody gets the wrong idea. Getting enough protein, calcium, and vitamin D as a child and teenager, while your growth plates are still open, absolutely matters for reaching your genetic height potential. That part is real, and it's why childhood nutrition shows up in how people turn out. But that window closes once your growth plates have fused. Again, late teens to early 20s. No food and no legal supplement is going to lengthen or widen a mature bone. Chugging a gallon of milk a day as a 25-year-old will not grow your skeleton. It'll just add body fat. The supplement companies love this myth because it sells product to grown men chasing a door that already closed. Eat well for general health. Hit your protein for muscle. But as an adult bone growth method, it's cope. Before the last method, here's one almost nobody talks about, and is completely free. Fixing your posture to reclaim height. Verdict, real. Now, to be clear, this does not make you taller than your genetic ceiling. It recovers height you're currently losing. And most people are losing a surprising amount. Years of hunching over a phone and a desk do 2 things. They round your upper back forward, and they let your spine settle into a slumped, compressed position. Add those up, and the average desk-bound guy is walking around 1 to 2 centimeters shorter than his actual skeleton allows, sometimes more. Standing with your spine properly stacked, chest up, head back over your shoulders, the natural curves restored, gives that height back instantly, and training the muscles that hold you there makes it permanent. That's real, measurable height for free that you're currently leaving on the table. And it comes with a bonus. Standing tall and stacked doesn't just add centimeters. It completely changes how dominant and confident you read before you've said a word. Fix the posture. Get the height back. Real. And the last real method, the one I mentioned at the start that changes your frame in about 10 seconds. Fraudmaxxing. Verdict, real. And it's the highest return per effort on this entire list because it skips changing your body and just changes how tall and wide you read. Start with height. A good pair of shoe lifts or elevator shoes adds 1 to 3 real inches instantly, and nobody can tell. That's a bigger height change than any exercise on earth will ever give a grown adult, available today for the price of an insole. Then width. There's a category of undershirt with subtle shoulder padding built in. It mimics deltoid muscle and widens your shoulder line the moment you put it on. And layered under a normal shirt, it's completely invisible. Add in the basics. Clothes that actually fit your shoulders, structured jackets, vertical lines, the right collar, and you can add a serious amount of perceived height and width without touching a weight. Purists will call this cheating, but attraction runs on perception, and every single person you meet is reacting to how you look, not to a tape measure. Use the illusion. Real, and the best bang for your buck there is. Here's how you never get fooled by a frame method again, so you can judge the next viral trick yourself in about 5 seconds. Ask one question. What tissue does this claim to change? If the answer is a mature bone, making a grown adult's collarbone longer, his skull wider, his leg bones taller through stretching or hanging or a supplement, it's cope every time, no exceptions, because bone doesn't work that way after your plates close. If the answer is cartilage, like the ribcage, it's plausible, especially when you're young. If the answer is muscle, like the delts or the neck, it's real and it's yours for life. And if it doesn't change your body at all but changes how you're perceived, lifts, padding, posture, clothing, It's real in the only way that actually matters because attraction is a perception game. That one question, what tissue does this change, sorts every frame method ever invented into real or cope. Use it. So let's put it all together. Swim in for a wider frame. Cope. Selection bias. The bones don't care. Clavicle stretching. Cope. Your arm doesn't even attach to your collarbone. Bone supplements as an adult. Cope. That window closed years ago. And the methods that actually work. Ribcage expansion. Real. Because cartilage responds where bone can't. Lateral delts. Real. And the most reliable of them all. Because muscle frames the skeleton you've got. Posture. Real and free. Because you're leaking height right now. And Fraudmaxxing. Real. And the fastest. Because perception is the whole game. Notice the pattern one more time. Everything that works targets cartilage, muscle, posture, or illusion. Everything that's cope is trying to bully a bone into doing something bones don't do. So stop wasting months on the cope. You cannot stretch your skeleton. What you can do is expand your rib cage while you're young enough to matter. Build the lateral delts that frame you for life, and use height and shoulder illusions that work the instant you put them on. Bone, you were dealt. Everything around it, you control. Pick one real method and start this week. And if you want the deep dive on building the frame muscles that actually matter, that video is on screen right now. I'll see you in the next one.